Put some.
And we're live.
Oh,
Woo!
it's alive!
We
It's
are live.
alive!
Hello, Facebook, YouTube, Facebook fan page. Good
Wow, you're in
evening.
lots of places.
Yes, we are trying to grow and expand and let people know opera is where it's at, you know. Yes. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Kiki Conversations, episode 10, season
I'm
2.
losing your audio. You're
Are
going in and out just a bit.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me make sure my microphone.
There you go.
You
That's
guys,
better.
yeah. You
Oh,
guys,
look at that. You have the Blue Yeti.
yes. You
Yeah,
guys,
those
I
are
am
nice.
in. Yes, you have to. You have to. Hi, you guys. I am in Houston right now. Um. Recording for Larry Brownlee's Giving Voice concert with Houston Grand
Oh,
Opera.
Larry
So
Brownlee. I thought you said Larry Brown. Of course I know Larry Brownlee. He's
yes,
wonderful.
fabulous. He's a good friend of mine. And
He's wonderful.
yes, they're coming in. They're coming in.
They're coming in.
Yes, they're coming
It's alive.
in.
It's alive.
Hello, Patrick. Hello,
See, I
Michael.
can't see where they're all coming. How do you see that?
them? Can you not see them
Oh,
on
I
my
see.
screen?
There are comments. Let me just come over here.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Matt. How are you? He's my regular.
Okay, the minute I go to comments, it shuts you off. So I'm just going to leave the
Shut me
comments
off?
off, and I'll see
Okay.
them later, hopefully.
Okay, I'll. Can you see them on the screen?
I see them say hi. Hi, Daniel. Hi, everybody. How sweet. This is so nice. In the middle of the pandemic, here we are. Soldiers of art, all standing together.
Yes, honey. Still trying to do the thing, right?
Yep. Keep it alive, put it in amber until we're ready to go.
Amen and hallelujah. Hi, it's so nice to see some new people. Welcome into the room. Hi, Leon. Oh my God. Yes. Hello. Well,
Who is this Leon? Is Leon a good singer?
Leon is a fantastic baritone. He lives in Hawaii. And I sang with him.
No wonder you sing well.
Right. So the beach, right? Hi, Happy. Is that your real name, Happy Day? It's a happy day.
I love that. Hello, Scotland. Hello. Put your feet down. I'm so glad. How lovely. Look at this. You have some fantastic people. Hi, everybody.
Yes. Hi, Kevin. Yeah, people can listen when I post.
Okay, you're coming and going again.
Okay,
Stephanie!
am I coming and going?
Your mic is in and out.
Isn't enough? Okay, please be patient with me, everybody. My internet in Houston is crazy. And so we are going to make this work.
We know about the hotel Wi-Fi's.
Exactly.
Some of the ones in Italy never come on, so this is good.
Yes, I am so honored to have you, Aprile.
The honor is mine.
Listen, I said in my Latanya.
Hi, baby.
I know that's your girl.
Oh, she's phenomenal.
Yes, of course. A dear sister friend and a fantastic. I'm always been a fan of hers. Yes, Dave put some questions down later. I just want I am so honored to have you here. The
honor is mine.
Listen, when you said yes, I about died, and I texted my friends she's coming on the show.
That's so exciting. Well, I texted mine too. I was very excited myself. I want to tell a little bit of what we were talking about before I came on.
Come on.
I had, I don't listen to folks singing my repertoire unless I have my friends who screen them. And they say, Aprile, you will not have a cardiac infarction. You can listen to them and you will enjoy it. Someone called me and said, you ought to put on the radio for the Louisa Miller from the Met. And so I put it on and I thought, so you always feel like, You want to hear great, great singing, and all of a sudden, I relaxed entirely. I said, "Okay, who is this? Who is this singing?" And it was you. And I said, "Karen Slack, I've not heard of this wonderful voice." I said, where is this?" So I listened to the entire broadcast. The audience absolutely adored you. They're not easy either, and you just won them over completely. But it was such beautiful singing, full throated, firm, nothing trilled, everything from the heart with a really Verdian quality. I was so thrilled. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on your radio show. I was saying this to several other people that, Latanya, I adore. Ottilie Graham is fantastic. There are many young voices here, but really, the color of your voice is so beautiful, and the extension, it's very easy. And you've maintained it because I went and listened to some of your stuff on YouTube. You sound like $1,000,000. You sound phenomenal. Oh,
Yes, I've tried. I have not sung Louisa Miller and since the Met. I didn't get another offer to do it, but anyway. I thank
it
you.
sounded
It's an
very
honor.
easy for you. It sounded
Thank
really,
you.
really easy.
It was an honor. Was an honor to be on that stage always and to be in that
Isn't that an amazing
repertoire.
place?
Yes,
Amazing
and
place.
I hope to go back in that repertoire and and more of that, more German things. But anyway, this is about you. This is not about me.
Be careful of the German, because yours is a really beautiful Italian instrument. And if you keep her, shall we say, we'll give her an identity, the voice itself, in your right rep. It's already, you're singing for a very long time wonderfully. But I would love to hear more of the Verdi canon from you, because it's easy and it's opulent. Whereas the German gets everybody copying God Bless Her Jessie. That's a whole other marvelous sphere, but
Yes,
it's not necessarily married to the Italian singing. So we'll see. But I
absolutely.
would love to hear more from you. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you very much. From your mouth to God. Come on, y'all. Come on, industry. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Hello. Hello. Well, yeah, we got to wake up first. Got to get everybody out of amber. It's
Exactly.
coming.
Exactly.
It's coming. It's coming. That's why I hope everybody stays like good little soldiers for the art. Gladiators this time, because we're going to have to be tough when this horrible virus is has run its course.
Mhm.
They're going to hit the ground running. You all better be ready with your souls ready, because it's not going to be a lot of wake up time. They're just going to have to say, "Yep, you, and you. We're off. We're doing it."
Amen.
So that's why I'm
Yes.
hoping everybody stays ready and stays, upbeat. Don't get down. The music itself should keep you buoyant, I would think.
Mhm. Oh yes. Oh yes. It's hard and it's hard, but you have to like keep warming up. You got to keep your spirits up. You got to keep learning and just keep on top of everything. Your mental, your physical, your emotional, right? You got
Well,
to
we're
keep up.
the
You got to keep up.
instrument. We're the
Mhm.
instrument, which is unusual, because if you go to a piano during a pandemic, the piano will play the same no matter what. It's the person who's playing it that will be different, and we're the
Absolutely.
instrument. So yeah, we do have to maintain a nice little steady, 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 which is easier
Hmm.
said than done because we're women. We have to fight the
Yeah.
whole female mystique, all the different things that happen to a woman. It's quite fascinating. Somebody should really write a book about it, especially
They,
as a singer. You know,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. I wonder if there are any books out there. I don't know. Maybe somebody on this scroll will write. All right. But there's Miss Angela Brown. Hi, Angela.
Angela, look at that picture. That was gorgeous.
Yes.
Maria, Maria.
Yes, Doug.
Oh, Doug, how wonderful! Just touch a little face. Look at you with Aretha. That's not a bad photograph, Doug.
Yes, Lemmy. So I have to say, for all
Ciao,
of you,
Limi. There's another great singer, Limi.
oh yes, fantastic.
Woo!
Yes,
That's the authentic article.
yes, Marsha. Yes,
Hi,
all the
Marcia.
love is coming in. So, listen, there's some people on here who I grew up with. We were all young singers and going through college and Aprile Millo. when we played your Aida DVD
That's great.
over
Thank you so
and
much.
over, we would pop the VHS, the Ballo and Mascara with the
Oh, that makes me
cover.
feel so good.
Listen, girl, you have had us falling out
Oh,
many a days with your incredible artistry,
I
incredible music,
appreciate it.
the passion, the just the total commitment and giving up of your soul when you sang. Even, you don't have to know the words to
Thank you.
understand. Please tell us. Please talk to us and tell us about your beginnings, because I think so many people never get a chance to be this close. And you are a legend. You are a legend.
You are so
You are.
sweet.
No, we
Oh my
adore you.
goodness. I really
Listen.
appreciate that. I really do. Uh, the beginnings, I grew up, my mom and dad sang. So I had a little golden age in my own house. My father sounded, I kid you not, like a sweeter voiced Caruso, and my mom sounded exactly like Muzio. So I was already hungry for that kind of reality. There was an authenticity when they sang. And then, I remember hanging out. I was 5 years old. We went to a man named Basilici, who used to be a very famous coach here in New York. And he had one of the upstairs attic rooms at Carnegie Hall. And my mother and father would go and coach there, and they wouldn't be dad and mom anymore. It would just be who they were. They did the Cavalleria Rusticana, and I would see them, and they would disappear. And I thought, I want to go to that world. I want to go where their faces look like they're seeing God. I want to go there. I want to see if I can go. So I would study with my father. I would study with my mom. Limited. I just reached the keys. But they set the voice. It wasn't any of this nonsense, all the air coming through and baby sound. It was an authentic sound. So by 9, people were calling me a 40-year-old midget because it was already placed. It was already very, very pure, very dull. I don't know. So I let the body catch up. And then I made a beeline to work with everybody I thought that I could get to. At first, you have to get yourself noticed. You have to get a job, period. I was so young, I had to get a job. And so I made my debut in Salt Lake City in a beautiful little theater with a fantastic opera company there, the Utah Lyric Opera. And I got to show the basic people who were interested in me that I could get through an opera. And it was Aida. And I was like 21, 22, only had 2 performances. My mother made sure. Well spaced, not a lot of rehearsal. And if it's in rehearsal, you got a maestro that knows, keep the orchestra down, don't make her scream. And that's it. So coaching, just making sure to get to the right people. Beeline to Tebaldi, beeline to Milanov, beeline to Rosa Poncel. I caught her, didn't catch her. She was gone as soon as I arrived in New York. It was the year she died. So just getting to the right people, and then hopefully not the people that want to impose themselves too much on you, but listen to you and try to support you and give you. And I was very lucky that way, I have to say.
Listen, oftentimes we as singers or people in our orbit say, no, you can't sing that. No, you can't sing this. It's too soon to sing this. It's too soon to sing that. And you get so afraid, and also the training is very different. It's not like it was 75
Well, tell
years
me
ago.
something. When you started singing, what did they have you singing? Because this is a big, rich, really, really opulent sound. What did they have you do to begin?
Well, when I always had my voice, I always had a certain sound. When I was 18 years old, I won the Rosa Poncel International Competition.
There you are.
Yes, and I studied with Igor Chichagov, who was the pianist.
I love Igor. There's my man.
He taught me how to
Now I understand.
To trill, to sing coloratura, and I was before I was 21. I could do all of those things.
But you have to explain who Igor is, because Igor comes with great history. Igor Chachagov was the main pianist for Rosa Poncel. He was one of the main coaches for William Thornton as well, who was Poncel's original person to bring her to Caruso, to the Met, the whole thing, to the legend that began. So you had fantastic people. That's fantastic. I love him. He just passed away
Yes, he
last a couple of
did.
years, I think.
Yes, he taught me Mimi. He taught me Michaela, Liu, all
Perfect.
off a book with he would have these little gloves and he would teach me. He taught me every single note, put every single note in my voice. And I was afraid to start my career. I was supposed to make this big debut at 21 at the Lincoln Center at the Alice Tully Hall.
Right.
And I was afraid because but I was singing like Pace Pace and D'Amor and Patria Mia and all those things, but I could do them. I could do it
Yes.
because he taught
But
me
I mean, yes, but you were only singing the arias. So that's not
only
your
the
problem. I don't know
arias,
why they had to make you feel afraid.
right? But I think
See,
it was
but
me.
Kiki, they don't know. Can I call you Kiki or do you want Karen
Absolutely,
instead?
no, no, no. Kiki's fine.
I love Kiki. Kiki's so cute. It's a great name. Kiki, when they talk about this, then you got to show off a little bit yourself that you say in bel canto, malabran, pasta, guidita all of the voices early, sang when they were 16 and 17 years old, the masterpieces of Bellini. So then you're saying to yourself, okay, Verdi has a richer orchestration, leave alone Puccini when you're that young. But there you are singing bel canto, you're fine. Bel canto into early Verdi, you're fine. The way they make people afraid, I mean, here I am, I'm in my early 60s, okay? I can sing. There's no problem. It lasted. They had all these crazy people saying, oh no, if you sing this, you won't be able to, you won't. You have to be very clever what you do if you're going to sing heavy repertoire. Juxtapose it with something that's slightly lighter. I did the liu. It was a big voice liu. It was full of lovely piani, but it helped keep the voice light. It helped keep it lighter. I would go back to the coloratura to do things to keep the cream stirring, because if not, then it gets a little weighed down. It gets too heavy, and then we all kind of like to hear ourselves sing big. It's a wonderful thing to see it head out into the theater, and then that becomes something that can corrupt you very fast. So keeping the coloratura, keeping the bel canto is so important, I would think.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. Please talk to those who young artists, but also those who are not singers, and talk to us about the the dynamic of like keeping yourself healthy, and like when you talk about the voice going out and how it can corrupt you in a way, how difficult it is to manage from theater to theater, how difficult it is to manage your voice and your technique. There's so many people on here who just hear the final product, and they don't understand the
Well, there's
challenge.
the process of getting it. You
Yes.
have to have people around you that are not afraid to tell you, uh, relax, because we're in a very, very, especially today, what they're asking young singers to do, jumping all over the place for Verdi Requiem. I was speaking with Michael Fabiano. He
Mhm.
was talking about how he had to jump around before the hostias. And he never said anything against the production. He's very professional and wise. I was having an absolute conniption. You're talking about doing the Verdi Requiem, and he's jumping from different whatever. So we keep that quiet, because they do ask young singers to do things that makes it very difficult to sing. In a day before, it always would be the comfort of the singer, or at least they would ask them to do difficult things, but it wouldn't be so contra the music, contra the how can we say this, it's okay that the directors want to put their stamp imprimatur on things, but you have to be sure that the voice is comfortable. Okay, so then you go back and you say, uh, uh, I've totally lost my train. You were
No,
asking about,
we're talking about how the big singing can corrupt, and there's so many people
right,
on. Yeah.
right.
That's okay.
Because the
Listen.
minute the minute you give me on directors, I make enemies everywhere. That's it. That's it. I just make directors. And I love them. I love having a well balanced, fantastic new approach to the opera, just so long as it's not Abigail with a bee backside, and she's walking around as a bumblebee in the entire. There are just so many crazy things. They're not creative. They're not imaginative. They're just exploitive of the piece, which is difficult. I mean, I'm willing to try anything once at least. Um, the sound of the voice going in, you go to the theater and you want to fill the theater. You have to be sure to surround yourself with people that will take care of you, that will make sure that you Aprile, back off a little bit. Aprile, get home. Don't be doing all the social media stuff. Stay home. Make sure you're ready, because tomorrow talking is very hard on the voice. Very hard, I found. So I would always, literally, I would stay closed in. I would read a lot. I would watch television. I would watch things that didn't get me out of what I call the divine headset. Because for me, when you sing, you're going to another world that we will not glimpse before we die. And it's a privilege. So that means, yeah, you're going to stay home. You're going to study your music. You're going to look at that score. You're going to become one with it. Because then when you stand before God and the audience and that ocean of melody that's in front of you, you're worthy of it. So you make sure that you have people, okay, I'm going to have that person say to me, look, Aprile, what are you trying to sing everything too loud? Or you can give us more piano here, or you can give us something more different. You can't sometimes rely on the maestro to do that because they're not as informed as they used to be. Not all, but the majority are young people who really just want to get it over with. And so you want to kind of have a little bit sense of, I would love to sound more human here, or I would love to express her. It's a collaboration. For me, I would think you'd be very careful how you pick it. Your rehearsal periods, make sure that you have a lot of hydration. I mean, it depends. It will always depend upon the theater. If you're at the Met, you don't have so much to think about because the house itself is like, it's amazing. It's one of the best acoustics in the world. The smaller the house, you have to wonder. Like the 900 seats or the 800 seats or the 1800s. There you can't hear as well, and you have to hope that they have a good amplification backstage that allows you to hear the orchestra, because it's those I found the most difficult. The bigger the theater, the happier I was.
Wow. And why do you think? Why do you think that was? Was it because oftentimes we wait for the sound to come back, or we wait for the resonance to hit that space, and so you hear all of that. Why explain that to some of us?
I'm very big about I'm very big about hearing myself, and I'm very big about hearing the. It's why I love singing at the Staatsoper in Vienna. They're there literally like in an ocean in front of you, and you can hear them in the house. Where there are some houses, the orchestra goes up and out. It doesn't come backstage, so you have to rely on the amplificatori. If not, you're kind of like, I like to mesh. I like to see what their souls are doing. Because sometimes on any given night, the vibrato of the violin is going to feel different. The speed of it, the maestros are different, the house is different, the people out there in the gallery, what are they feeling? You get to be an alchemy. That's why I absolutely adore it. It's an alchemy of people for serving the art. And it's on every side of the theater. Them, me, orchestra, we're all creating something. We're on a vehicle heading somewhere spiritual. For me, it had to be. If it didn't, I mean, I would come into the theater, and my, how can I say this? My ritual to feel the theater and to feel, people think I'm nuts, but I really don't care. I wanted to come into the theater before anything was done. Usually I would arrive, they were setting up the scenery, they're setting up whatever they're doing, and I would look out into the house, and I would kneel on either the left or the right side, whichever one was where the closest to the dressing room. Usually the left side, because I always feel like the left side is the heart of the theater, the right side is the brain. The left side, I would kneel and say a prayer, and I would say, look, you have heard better than I'll ever be. But if you, spirits and God and everybody, could just band together and give me a little bit of help here tonight, let me be a part of your energy. Let me be a part of your beauty, passing the beautiful forward. Would you help this servant here tonight? And I would say, God, by you begun, by you happily ended, there we go. And I would go backstage. It would calm me down. It would calm me completely down. And then I would be literally like, okay, this is where I'm going. This is how I'm going to try and take people with me to paradise. Hopefully stuff doesn't happen that messes it up and makes it human. But even if that happens, let me be strong. So that for me is, the theaters are very, very much, they all have their own spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Good spirits.
Good spirits. They sure do. I love the way you talk about the spirit, the vessel, the
Mm-hmm.
serving the music, serving the space. Oftentimes when I feel like when I'm mentoring other younger singers and I talk about being of service, sometimes I feel like it goes over and maybe I don't explain it well, but when I hear a singer like you or a singer like Montserrat Caballé or or a Milanov, a Muzio, of course, there is this divinity, but that has nothing to do with you. It's just you can see the energy coming through you, pouring out of you. That's why opera is the greatest of them
I think
all.
so too. I think so too.
When you
I
get
really
out of the
do.
way, when you get out
Have
of
you
the
ever you
way and you just let go ahead, Freeler.
have you ever seen great ballet? You know that they kind of go into. I was privileged to see because in LA we had everybody visit with the ABA. You had Berishnikov, you had Makarova, you had I hope I'm saying the names right, um, Nureyev, and I got to know. I got to go backstage and kind of say hello to these people. They are even more touched than even the singers are because they rely on their bodies to be the melody.
Mhm.
So I got blown away by their sense of routine, relying getting their bodies ready. But then when they were on stage, they went somewhere.
Mhm.
And so I had already seen that with my mother and father. So my feeling ever on stage is to go towards the open eye of God, which is that light. At the end of our lives, we go towards a
Mhm.
light. We go sounding
No,
Ooh, she's sounding really
yeah.
nuts, but I
But
really
can
do
you see?
believe that without that element, it's
Mhm.
not worth hearing.
Mm. And that is where the true artistry, that is where the phrasing, that is where all of those things line up, all the work, right?
I hope so.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so. That's the hope. I think on stage the audience is not as stupid as some people like them to think they are. They
Mhm.
are very smart. That little collective 5,000 eyes, whatever they are, they're out there taking you in the dark where they feel like children. They're open to anything you're going to give them. They want to feel something spectacular. 9 times out of 10, you're going to, of course, have the folks in there that are not of good spirit. You're going to find some people who really don't want success, don't want the evening to, whatever. That's a very small percentage. The majority go there to be transcended.
Yes.
So when you see that they're all desperate to feel something, they're not stupid. They know when somebody's doing it for a paycheck.
Mm.
They know when somebody's doing it for the music, for God. They know when somebody's full of themselves.
Mhm.
They know. They know. So if you go out there and you hand it with every bit of your real, authentic self, they go
Mhm.
crazy.
And your
They go
audience
crazy.
always went crazy. You have
I
the
don't
best
know. I hope
fans.
so. I have some fantastically. I think they want to sing too. They want to sing with me, so they're singing out the bravas and bravi. They are extraordinarily smart, very knowledgeable people. I sang one evening. I think it was with Giacomo Aragal in Barcelona. He was the first Cavaradossi I ever sang with. He was my debut Tosca. And he came and he said, when you sing Milo, I'm more nervous because he had a lot of problems with nerves, but I had already gone to the orchestra rehearsal and gone crazy over him doing like this in front of the orchestra because really the man sang like God. And he wasn't used to getting that kind of support from the diva, right? So he was singing them up really fabulous. And he came to me and he said, when you sing Aprile, they come out of the woodwork. I've seen people here that are for the old opera days. They stop going because I don't know. He said, but when you sing, all the opera aficionati, the ones that really love the real opera, come to hear you. And he said, I better sing well. And I said, and you are. But what a nice thing to say, uncharacteristically for a tenor.
For
He was very, very,
exactly, exactly.
it's just being fun. It's because I'm a daughter of a tenor. I love them. But they are
Oh,
their own little species.
they sure are. And I oftentimes some of my best friends are tenors, and I always give them a hard time. But
I love them. I root for them more than I root for myself because I know how hard it is. And my father, I mean, he was a spectacular tenor. So
Yeah.
I really do. I love them. I think they're nuts. It's man, women, and tenors.
And there you
Because they're
have
their
it.
own species.
They certainly are. Oh my God.
The best.
Speak to us about some of your experiences on the stage, because you are a part of that generation. They always talk about the golden age of singing, of course, and it always sounds like it's that cusp of the old world, of the old school, and you in that 90s and that 2000s where we were getting the last, clips of some of the fantastic artistry. It's a very different business now. It's a very different
I
career
know.
now, but please
I know.
share some of your memories with us about some of the great artists that you shared the stage with, and some of the great roles that you've been able to sing. I mean, gosh,
Oh,
for a
there
soprano.
have been so much. The first evening singing Trovatore with Fiorenza Cosotto
Oh,
as a mezzo soprano. I mean, if you were not on that evening, she took it, the drapes, the wood, the orchestra, everything. She took it all with her. What a sacred monster she was, and I say monster in the best term. That was fantastic singing. Um, Atlantov in Othello I've never heard an Othello like that. And I mean, literally, it parted your hair, and I was on stage. Can you imagine what they were hearing outside? Vickers, singing a concert with Vickers, magnificent. He was an animal. He came up to me and said, I'm going to be a little bit rough with you, and I just want you to know I get a little bit lost. I am my character. And I said, if you don't kill me tonight, you will have failed. Which, of course, I was just being funny. And, of course, then he decided to go crazy that night. And I thought, bring it. Bring it. This is so real and exciting that if I don't know what you're going to do, it's going to look even better when you're trying to kill me. I'm lucky I'm still alive. But he was spectacular. And thank God it was, just one or two times with him, because he went somewhere too. And he saw that I did too. So there was a certain sense of, I better bring it more authentically than I try to, because sometimes you get lost in shtick.
yes.
And you'd have people who then do the authentic, and you go, oh, that's it. Carlo Bergonzi, unbelievable poet when he sings. There's so much melody and so much beauty. Luciano, Pavarotti. I mean, these people, you're standing right here and you're hearing that sound, and it's so even and it's so beautiful. I used to tell Luciano, and I would make all these faces while we were singing, because it was like, you got to be kidding me. This is just so beautiful. And of course, he loved it. Because 9 times out of 10, your partner is like not doing anything. I'm always trying to be in the moment. Yes. And you'll see me throw my head back and smile, because the tones are so gorgeous. My gosh, with Marcello Giordani, wonderful singer. Carl Tanner. I'm trying to think of some of the more modern voices. Neil Shikoff, fantastic.
Yeah.
I would have to say, tell me.
No, I made my Met debut one act with Neil Shikoff.
Was that the Louisa?
Mm-hmm. It was my first, because the broadcast was my third performance, but my debut, he did one act. And he said,
you want to hear something interesting about one acts? The reason that people who cover at the Met now have to be in the house was a Louisa Miller performance, in which we started with a great tenor, Hermano Mauro. Fantastic man. And his son is equally fantastic, who just lost his beautiful wife. Also a fantastic singer. We're out there we're singing the first 2 acts. And Hermano feels, and he was a truck. He was an absolute tank. He was so secure and wonderful. If he got sick, he really must have been sick. So we had to wait, because the cover, Mr. Glassman, also wonderful voice, had to come from New Jersey, because Hermano was so secure. Usually, they insisted from that time on, the entire radio had to wait while he arrived, right? Then from that day forward, they made the law that you had to be in the theater or 1 hour away.
Mm-hmm.
And so we finished then with, part 2 tenor, and the Rodolfo looked different at the end than he did in the beginning. He morphed, but it was quite it's a spectacular story. But I think, Karen, if you were going to ask me anything, I would say probably it's the evenings I spent as a theater goer.
Yes.
Watching Nielsen rehearse for the Centennial Gala. I was so upset not being asked. And this was just 2 years before my debut. And they didn't want to let me out half scene or on some gala. But I said, this would have been perfect. I could have. So if you look at the Centennial Gala, you'll see that I'm shaking the back of the curtain. I wasn't allowed to be on there, but I wanted to be there when they were taking the applause at the end. I was shaking the curtain to say, I am there in some way. Wait, I'm coming.
So I know that's right, Aprile. I know.
But I made sure to go to the theater because I had heard Caballé sing. Caballé is another absolute god.
Mm-hmm. She's my
gorgeous tone. And even earlier on in her career, it was even more consistent. It wasn't quite so crooned and every once in a while there. And she said, "I will employ when I need to." She showed me a lot of wonderful stuff. The Centennial, that I made sure to come after I heard them sing because I had to hear Nielsen live. I had heard her in Tosca in LA. I had heard her in several other things, but I thought, I want to hear her in a monster house, 4,000 seat with Jimmy in the orchestra. That's a Maserati. Okay. The whole orchestra is going to be full tilt boogie. And I got to the stage. If you'll permit me, it's the greatest story ever. I got to the stage because for 2 seconds, Leontine and Luciano were standing there getting ready to do the ballo, which was going to close the show. You have Milanov sitting on the stage. Right? You had all these great singers, Stieber, Milanov, Novotna, Bidu Sayao, George Shirley, all these fantastic, wonderful voices sitting behind, Tagliavini. And so they're getting ready. And Leontine always kept just a wonderful, quiet sense. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's Leontine. Oh, wonderful. Oh, and look at Luciano. And he was literally a nervous wreck, but a good nervous wreck. He was just trying to keep himself up. And meanwhile, Leontine is peeling paint off the ceilings. It is effortlessly sailing over Jimmy's orchestra, which was robust to say the least, full of passion, wonderful, big, huge sound. And she's out there with the I think it was the Gotterdammerung. The immolation scene, perhaps. It was something where you're really like you are going, you have to be putting out. And Leontine, God bless her, she's so sweet. She's backstage going, listen to that voice. And I'm thinking, did she just talk? Did she say something? And she said, oh, listen to that. Oh, she's something. Now listen, look at Jimmy. Jimmy's going crazy, right? And then Luciano saying, she go what? She go walk? She go, where she go? And she go, here she go. She said, Leontine, here she go. And it's the phrase that is one of the largest, most magnificent. And then she, conquers the entire place. People are going mad. There she went. And this is Leontine, who then from that moment, quiet, beautiful, goes out on stage and then slays them herself. Mm. Now that tone, I went to we had both been represented by Nellie Walter. Mm-hmm. So when I went backstage, she said, we're one of Nellie's girls, which I thought was how sweet she put me in her same. I was like, oh, I'm glad to be right there with you. And she sang something for her funeral that was done with Ron Wilford, who threw it as a memorial. I had heard Leontine sing Trovatore in the theater. It was absolute, shouting and screaming like you could not imagine. But to hear it that close, I was in the first row of a small little gathering. And she started singing something, looking magnificent. I said, God is in the house. You can see immediately when the woman opened her mouth, God is revolving in the house. If you're lucky, you'll get bathed, you'll get showered in that sound. She loved her sound with proper way. She said, if you don't love your sound, no one else will. You have to love your sound. Not stupidly, but with a sense of, I know it's great and I'm presenting you the best I have in the world. And you sat there, I was sobbing because the tone itself was of such a burgundy and revolving, like if you hold a sifter of burgundy, and you twist it around like this, it's going to shimmer. It's going to have a magnificent. See, for me, these are the best. For me, that's the best. I love to tell the stories of the singers that I got to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, singing with them, wonderful. I'm very happy. I got to stride two different periods of time. When I came in, we had still Rethberg's husband, George Chahanowski, who was at every performance I gave. You had, oh gosh, all the fantastic character singers. You had all of the character bass. You had the Tadeis. You had Capecchi. You had all of these fantastic people. Then you had Riesnik. I can't even begin to tell you the experience of seeing Riesnik sing Elsa, in which in the last after Allmacht die Jungfrau, she takes off against the background of Otto Schenk. Fantastic production. She's walking away, but in her interpretation of Elizabeth, the more she walks away, she should get smaller, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But because Elizabeth is going to be exalted in some way, transpired by God perhaps, she walks away. She got bigger as she walked away. And I thought, how is she doing this? And it made the music even more transcendent to me, what she did. Never failed. The woman never failed to impress. Another woman, Helga Dernisch. I've never seen a person reveal she had on a gown as Herod. What's the woman's name? In Salome.
Herodiad.
Herodiad.
Mm-hmm.
And she's out there, and that she's got a shimmering, magnificent outfit on. This was a very Batman comic kind of production, very dark, strange, off-kilter, but it worked. And it was Maria Ewing, I think, as the Salome. Oh my, she's out there, and little by little she's letting you see the Herodiad that she keeps to herself is that sparkly gown underneath. And so she's got all these theatrical things that she would do with then a voice that was just amazing. I could go on and on. So
no, we
shut up now.
No, please, no, don't shut up. This is what we need to be inspired for this time.
It's just amazing.
We need this. I need this. Last night was a shit show, of course, and I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I doing this show? And I was like, we're not gonna even talk about that, girl.
No, you know what? I will probably lose so many. You know what? I don't care. Let's talk about it. We are coming to the end of a very, very bad time. And what I find that is beautiful about this is that, and I don't say this in any way to be manipulative or strange, my connection with the world has always been on who comes when you need it best, when you need it most. And I find that within the community of mankind, womankind, we always look to the Black community, and they are never failing. Okay? So Georgia delivers the Senate to a righteous man in Biden, who is a good Catholic, who will do everything he can to try and give us, not the corporations, not all the wonderful people that are successful and accomplished. I'm glad for them. I want them to prosper and be abundant, but share it a little bit. When they have the Senate now for Biden, we have hope. But then we still have the little l'enfant terrible in the White House who just does not want to do his better self. This man just does not want to give his better self. That is privilege in the worst example. Could he have done something wonderful? Yeah, he actually, when I first got to know him, got to be around him, he was fun because he poked fun at himself. Who knew that he took himself so seriously, like this malignant narcissist that he is? And there he's out there doing all of these things, Muslim bans and tearing people apart when it's already difficult enough to keep people together. So to see the sure demise of this, to see the attack on the Capitol, it had to take something so dangerous, so unhinged, to actually get everybody's attention. Because until the Senate is made aware that they are in imminent danger, I think they're in la la land sometimes. So all of a sudden, to see those people come in there in a rude fashion, it is their house. They have a right to be there. If they were civil and kind, if they wanted to make sure that they were shouting, stay outside. Do your like the BLM movement. Not one person did anything during the day that was wrong until the instigators arrived in the evening and started to make them look bad. These are the instigators. They all just congealed at once and decided we're going to come on there. If they have gripes, if they're, no one could have been more disappointed than I that Hillary Clinton didn't win the presidency. That she stood up there, twice the man that Mr. Trump will ever be, and I say that with respect. She said, for the interest of this country. And you know they stole that election from her. Now, do I sound like the people today? Yes. The difference between me and those little instigators are, I understood that she had it stolen, but I want the country to continue, so we all have to keep pulling the weight. These folks want to tear it down. That's about as blunt as I can get. So that they're not, that they didn't stop the certification. I love it. It's showing that we can be buoyant, we can be resilient, and we cannot stand for certain things. Now, why am I happy that happened yesterday? Because it was a horrible situation and people lost their life. And I pray for them. I'm deeply sorry that they would believe that much in something and then get caught in a manipulation like that.
Absolutely. Now, Aprile, what do you think that the artist's responsibility is to speak on these issues? Because, it is a very tricky, it's a balance for us, because oftentimes the people who write the checks for us to be able to do our jobs are often not as liberal as we are. And I think, and I think in this time that we're in now, many of us are struggling, maybe privately, maybe to, especially as an artist of color, where you are almost thrust. You have to say something because, you have to speak out. You have to say something. You have to talk about these issues, be it through, your song, your music, anything you curate, or, now we have all these social platforms, which didn't even exist 15 years ago.
Right.
What do you think an artist's responsibility is, and how do you think that we can be supported in speaking truth to power, and our art form, opera, which is like super white, super conservative, you know what I mean? Super it's filled with all these liberal artists. I say that very lightly because I'm, it can be tricky, but like, I would love to hear from you, what you feel about that.
I always got in a lot of trouble because I don't shut up. I don't, if there's something wrong, I usually say it. I was told to behave like a cultivated child, to be seen and not heard. And when there were things that went on that were wrong, I would step up with as much respect for both sides and say, I really think this is wrong. And this is et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I understand where you might not agree with me on this, but I hope at least you will see it from my perspective and allow yourself to be informed by that. And perhaps at 2:00 in the morning when you're staring at your stucco ceiling, perhaps you'll give it a thought or two, or it'll cross your mind again. This whole situation with racism, ever since I was a kid, I was raised by very, very involved people. In Washington, just after my mom took me to see on the Potomac River, there was something called Resurrection City, which had been a huge protest shortly, I believe, after the Martin Luther King speech. And they stayed on the Potomac. I may be off with the timings of this, and maybe not. It was not when the wonderful Marian Anderson sang. I don't think it was that period. It was after they did another protest on the Potomac, and it started to rain, and people stayed in cardboard boxes with plastic on the top. And you saw this whole community of people trying to be heard. And my mom worked for Reverend Jesse Jackson. She was very involved. We didn't see color. I always thought people just, oh, wow, she's got a better tan than I do. That's it. This is a better chance. Good for you. You're always well, fantastic. When I saw people being treated wrong is when I get in trouble. And as artists, I think I try to cloak myself in the divinity of the music and let its enlightenment speak for everything. And hopefully, an enlightened soul will have a moment of clarity and will be able to see better. That's my responsibility. However, when you get asked, or when someone asks your opinion, I don't think you should hold back in any way. Respectfully, you should say, I really don't agree with the way this is happening. And especially within the young artists in the Black community. Am I saying that correctly now? I want to be sure. Is it the African American community, or should I say more than just Black community? Because I say it only with respect.
I understand. Listen, for me, I don't. It doesn't. Either one's fine for me, personally. So I'm
Okay,
Black.
well,
I'm
so just
African
know that
American.
it's said with nothing but outrageous respect.
Of course, of
Uh,
course.
Here, I just the lack of tolerance in the Muslim community for when they were banned in the beginning. I wanted to head straight to the airport and join the people who were protesting against the ban, which actually had an effect. So it's yes, can you be part of a peaceful protest nowadays because so many people mess that up? But during the whole BLM movement, it's like, are you crazy? You saw white, you saw beige, you saw orange, you saw brown, but we're a community of people. If the Lord himself says, you are made in my image, then God is a colorful person because we're made in his image. He must be a rainbow of color.
Yes.
Okay, there must be all of us in there. So how can you say one child is less deserving than the other? You can't.
Mm-hmm. No,
You
you
can
can't.
conveniently say so, but no, it's not the truth. Not if you truly believe in a supreme being, whatever his name is.
Yes. When you sang in your career, and it was a time where, there was so much Black talent, there's so much, opportunity singing in city opera, singing at the Metropolitan Opera, Maestro Levine brought in just
Tons of
talent,
people. He was
tons.
a big exponent of that.
Absolutely. Did you understand that there were people who were kept out? Like, did you have a sense of opera being racist in your time?
I think in my time, I had Leontine. I had Martina Arroyo. I had Kathleen Battle. Just at the tail end of Riri Grist. Okay. Then you had also, I'm trying to think who else. There were so many wonderful. You have the beginning of Jesse. You had, and I thought, okay, with talent, the expression, the beauty. Yes, there's a chance. I had no idea that they were kept out because of that. I mean, you had Michelle Kreider. You had all of these wonderful singers that sang at that time. For me, I sang in a performance where the Madelon at one time was a Camilla Johnson. That woman had a voice that
Yeah.
should be singing leads. I looked at her, I said, good God, do not let me come to the theater unwarmed on an evening you're singing, because it's absolutely gorgeous. Round, opulent, beautiful tone. I didn't get to see that because Jimmy was very big about making sure that young talent was heard,
Mm-hmm.
that the
Yeah.
Black community was well represented. He really
Yeah.
did try.
Yeah.
For myself, if I heard a voice like I heard the other night, this Limi, I hope I'm saying it right, Limi Pulliam or Pullman.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say the name?
Lemmy Pulliam.
Pulliam.
Mm-hmm.
The man is an authentic Helden tenor. He's a heroic tenor. And I'm saying, well, okay, where is this man? We need him. We need him. There are many, many other voices out there that are the young lady Angel Blue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm particularly fond of that sound because it's so round and it's so beautiful. And she does try to stay authentic. Whatever she's doing, it's not her playing a singer, it's her herself, which I think informed her performance of the Mimi very beautifully.
Yeah.
And I heard maybe one or two other melodies in aria only, but I root for her. I want her to do
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
There are so many friends out there now that are doing it, but again, I never saw that people were being held back, or I would have said
Mhm.
something.
Absolutely. Well, they all we you mentioned all the women, but the men oftentimes, they get left out of that period, because the women
Oh, I mean,
dominate.
here you had Simon Estes. Simon was fantastic. Was the
Mhm.
go-to Votan in the world for many years. Um, there are so many, and I must tell you, I've become privy. I've felt very much since even before the BLM movement that I wanted to get involved with promoting young singers um,
Mhm.
of color. Of yes, fantastic.
Mhm.
But if it were, um, how can I say this? I want. There was a gentleman who is an agent or is a man who runs the school. I don't know how this all works. I'm going to find out.
Yes.
17 and 18-year-old men from Africa in Nugana or something with a G, Ghana, or I'll figure it out. I'll find out.
Mhm.
17 and 18-year-old that sound like young Cesare Siepi for the bass. And then there was another one that was a baritone. It's like, holy moly. And some of the Chinese community
Mhm.
for the gentlemen.
Mhm.
They have some formidable sound. So like a little mosquito, I want to go to the vein. I want to see where there is good singing and then try to help it get heard. What little I can
Mhm.
do, I will do because it's so important. And with my academy in Italy, I want to get them exposed to that. I want to get them seeing where Verdi walked down the street, where Puccini had his boat and staring out at that magnificent river that's just in front of his house in Italy. You get to see them as more than just notes on a page.
Mhm.
I've never seen anybody, if you involve yourself in a story of somebody, that you don't then give more of your soul to them when you're singing. They're not just scratches on a piece of paper, they're etchings of a soul. And that soul exists every time he jumps in your throat. Every time you pull him off that page, that soul exists again. So if you know, oh my goodness, I saw where he walked, I saw where he breathed, I saw where he loved, I saw where he lost, I saw where he died, then they're not just music. It's not just not notes on a piece of paper. For me, it's very important. I want to pull everybody into that kind of a thing. It happens in the summer mostly. That I'm able to do that in Busseto, which is the
Mhm.
terra di Verdi. But it's an experience that I would like to see more people in, and that's why I started an association with a fantastic singer named Maria Clark at
Mhm.
the consortium of the historical black colleges.
Mhm. Great.
And watch, everybody's going to be zooming in now to do the same thing. But if so, good, more opportunity, and I'd like to see a more advanced opera course there
Mhm.
because they have the young ladies that came to do our online course because of the pandemic. They were amazingly wonderful and fantastic voices, but you have to get to them because the modern teacher is not is I don't think on the right course for the most part, because I wouldn't be hearing so much trilling. I wouldn't be hearing notes that I don't know what note you're on. I would not be hearing the wailing that goes on in the high voice. It's a, you can't wail like that. It's a bel canto. It's a bel canto school. If you can get to those people that are with that much talent and possibility, you've done your job, you know?
Oh, Aprile Millo. Oh my God. This is yes, yes,
I'm
yes,
talking too
yes.
much.
No, you are saying
Oh, yeah.
exactly what you need to say, exactly what we need to hear, because this is what a lot of our my conversations with my colleagues and my friends and those of us who actually mentor, other singers, other we talk about
Yes.
this part, and but you are the link, you are the as the plug, as we say in hip hop,
Well, I may be one of them. I may be one of them. I'm proud to think so. I hope so.
well, we need you, we need you, and we need your knowledge. I mean, just the way you spoke about, knowing the composers, their steps, the heartbreak, the love, like connecting in that way. I think that is missing in the education of the modern artist, because the teachers haven't experienced it, or that people think that that is not a part of the education of learning music, learning the
No,
roles.
but it is.
You must, you must travel, you must go to these places, you must eat the food, smell the air, walk on the cobblestone. Like you have to immerse yourself as an artist. It's not just about the IPA and the black notes on the white page. It's so much more than that. But I probably will get in trouble with this. I think the conservatory.
Good.
I'm a troublemaker too. I think.
Wait a minute. What'd you say?
I said I am a little bit of a troublemaker too.
Yeah, but what'd you say? The conservatories what?
I think that there are too many singers. There are too many people in school. I think it's the system is too fat, and it just.
You think they take people because they need the money?
Yes, it's too. I just feel like it's not enough opportunity once people get out, and then they are not equipped the way they need to be for the career, and the lucky people get through, and it's just the whole thing should change. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah, but no, that because it's a controversial thing you say. Who am I to say that a journey in music is not as worthy as someone else's journey in music? You see, you can't say that. It's a throw of the dice, right? Yeah. You're throwing a dice. If these schools are taking people that they know for a fact will end up basically teaching badly, then yeah, okay, they're not going to have a career. They're just going to end up being a teacher because they can't make it the other way. When you listen to Richard Bonning talk about the early days, God bless him, of Joan Sutherland, she wasn't secure in a career either. No one is secure. The idea is you are one of the seraphims. You're one of the archangels of God. This is what I believe every singer is. That's why they got to carry themselves well. They got to know that they're worth something and it's important. You're then carrying the music of the harmonies of the celestial sphere. Okay? Are you then hoping that God shows you abundance? Yes. You're hoping that you're going to be chosen, that you're one of the lucky ones to get to be heard. You do everything you possibly can, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed. But there again, a selfless, beautiful sacrifice, and you're throwing yourself at it. Many are called, few are chosen. So you have to just keep working at it and keep layering your canvas with as much authenticity as possible, because eventually you do get heard.
Yes.
Or you make sure you get to the people where you can run by that camera and they say, "Oh, there she is." You want to do everything you can with humility, but you want the door to success is labeled push. So you do as much as you can, get yourself out there in front of people, but nothing is guaranteed. And there's a great sense of entitlement now. You want to earn that right. Okay, but because a certain segment of people are not given that chance, then no, that's wrong. That is wrong. I agree. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult. I mean, there's a lot of controversy around the conservatories. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was lucky. I was lucky. I went to Curtis, and I was on the track.
Who was your teacher there?
My first year was Marlena Malas, my first 2 years, and then I went with Joan Patnode, my last 4 years. And then, but I already kind of had I had the basic foundation from Maestro Chicago. But what really changed my singing was Cherry Greenwald.
Wow. Wonderful.
And I was at the Heldon soubrette, as she calls herself.
She holds herself in as a soubrette. The Heldon, yeah.
Yeah, but she really was the one that really was like, you're not singing on your body. Like, you're not using your breath, and you're not,
It is fascinating how much they don't train about breath, about the support, or they do, but they don't know how to get it across in terms that someone will be able to use. My wonderful colleague, you've seen many times I speak about her, Maria Vertere, who's a fantastic soprano. In her studio that I work a lot with her studio, there are fantastic voices. They are all being taught by her and she was kind enough to say she's inspired by me, but she's so smart. She knows how to build it on a vocabulary that people can hear. And also, a lot of the people that came to her were people that were, excuse the expression, messed up by other singers, by other teachers. And then she gets them on the breath, gets them in the vowel, gets them on the melody of the. You wait, you're going to have so much fun. I want to kind of see if I can't get you to Italy at some point, or even get you involved in some way with us, because when you hear great singing, it reassures you.
Yes.
But nowadays, there's a lot of trilling going on. Can you all explain to me what is the fear of having a firm, warm tone that is round and fully supported? Why do they trill so much? Do you know what I mean by trill?
Yeah, I'm about to say, please.
No, but I mean, do you know what if you go to see a performance, 9 times out of 10, and some of them are very famous now, so I'm not going to name names, but they are trilling so much. There's a vibrato that is completely loose. Everyone has a vibrato that is normal. Sometimes it's a little bit slow, sometimes it's not. But if you listen to the firm voices like a Flagstad, Zinka Milanov, this in the mask, they're saying, don't talk about being in it. You have to be in the mask. The mask is your gramophone. The neck of the gramophone, and then here's your gramophone, and out it comes. Now, no one's saying stick it in there. They're saying revolve it in there, and then out comes with the beautiful sound. What I'm hearing is you hear literally, you don't know what note they're on. And then they'll whelp on a high note because they think that that's okay. There was a whole school of singing where people desperate, I call it desperation, yelp, where they can't get to the note, so they'll throw it out, and they thought that was exciting. It's not. It's desperation. It should never stick out. It should just be, yes, dramatically, there'll be times when you want to do something, but I mean, I'm speaking in generalities now. It changes on occasion to various situations that you're in, but on the most part, nothing to me is built on a bel canto kind of concept of voice. And the trilling, there's some major voices out there that I can't tell what pitch they're on. Especially the young baritones and the basses. They're not as free and as comfortable as they should be. The tenors catch a lot of things. They're catching before they have to. They don't stay on an equal kind of emission. If you listen to Luciano, you can't see where he stops and where he begins, where he ends. It's all just a beautiful this. So for me, yes, it's not damning with faint praise or overpraise. It's just there is something out there that is wrong. Mm-hmm. They're not, to my ear, teaching with a firm sound. It's not lack of vibrato. It's not lack of tone. It's just lack of firmness, lack of appoggio on the sound. They sound more musical comedy to me than they sound like opera, if that makes any sense.
It makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. And I wish I had my wine. I wish I had my champagne, because I would be sipping, and everyone knows that I love.
Yeah, but you got work to do.
I got work to do. Yes, but I think that I think it was the recording industry, of course, because and I think that knocked everything off, and then I don't think people will go to live performances the way they should. And I think that a lot of the teachers who teach did not sing, and maybe had not got the bel canto technique down in order to pass it on. I think that everyone was, this idea of putting everything in the nose or the mask or the resonance, people get resonance confused. And there is this kind of, I think, how do you say, taste of I guess, as you know, it goes through ebbs and flows. And here I am telling you, oh my God, like who
the ebbs and flows. But again, here, we're not we're heading back into a period that the Jean Dereschi, the brothers Dereschi, everybody wants something almost too soft, almost too,
I agree.
I mean, some of the tenors singing now are too lyric for what they're singing. And they're out there doing really a very lovely job with very modest resources, because they're not for that literature. Mm-hmm. There are sopranos that are lyrics that are singing repertoire that's way too big for them. They'll be able to do that for 5 years, and then they won't be able to do it because you sing on youth. For me, it's the taste never stops when you open your mouth, or when let's just say you come to the theater and you hear somebody that gives you a sense of calm and a bath of beauty. That's it. I just don't believe if you're singing a note and there's no legato at all in the singing. And if it is, it becomes almost a Mozartian legato, which does not apply. And here again is another mistake, if I may be so bold, and really I'm now reaching an age where I'm just going to be no matter what. Not everyone should be singing Mozart. The young voices come into conservatories and they say, no, you must be singing Mozart. Whereas in my thought, you have them say, no, you sing bel canto. If you can sing the bel canto, then you can sing anything. Mozart's for a master. It's going to make you really, really kind of like hold tight. Oh no, I can't. And it's also being done very white voiced, where everything is a particular kind of style where there's not what is that all about? So you listen to it. You try to suggest, get into the bel canto is the salvation for a voice. If you can do that, you go back over the rigors of how you emit, the even emission, the beautiful vowels, the wonderful quality of sound. Then you can try your dramatic accents. No one's saying you should be boring, but I just don't think boring is turning everything into a verismo opera. The bel canto pieces now are turning into verismo. They are already, but it's a different kind of thing. It was written in a period of Byron and Shelley and Keats. It was all lunar. It was all up here, like, oh, how beautiful. And people were very, very calm and full of passion, but with this sense of, there was this crazy kind of lunar quality to it. Where there are other music that's not that, where there's a Mars tendency, or there's a Arcadian rhythm to it. It's like there's a lot of stuff that can go into it. And if you can get the mind going on it, it keeps it interesting. It keeps opera alive.
Yes, exactly. That's why we go to the theater. But also,
exactly.
And I heavily weigh on singers, and it's not our fault. It's not always our fault. The teacher, the conductors, the coaches. It's not about fault. It's just about how we are training artists, and when we hear, the administrators, like what they hear. Oh, I hear this. They a lot of times don't know the repertoire. They don't know who sang what, where, when, how. You know what I mean? The lineage. The proper sounds, the things to
I know.
tell you, so we are, it's like cutting someone's foot off. How are we supposed to go?
I know.
It's like, where can we?
And a lot of them are smart, but they're casting for movies. And I do understand this need to, look what it's kept the art alive right now with the live streaming, with all the people being able to see opera. This has been a remarkable lifesaver for the arts. But I'm going to say this with every sense of respect for the amount of money that's needed. I understand. The only way to enjoy opera, the best way, is to go live. We kill ourselves by saying, no, spend $20 within the same city and go to the theater and watch a movie. You're crazy, because you're not hearing the voice going out into the house, which creates that unbelievable alchemy. You're hearing it compressed. Everything loud is soft. Everything soft is loud. How do you get any real idea of the voice? There's no mic alive that can show you the harmony that comes out, the shining lights around the voice when they're singing. You could never capture Tebaldi. If you hear Tebaldi on recording, forget it. You have no idea of the sonic boom that was in the house, of harmony and beauty and femininity and everything you could possibly think. Now she's like in a vinyl cage, or she's in that cassette, or she's on. You can't get it. So imagine you have these voices. They're wonderful. They're very good actors. I love to go to the movies to see the opera. It's wonderful. It's kept it alive. However, it should not be cast with a mind towards the small screen. It should be cast with a mind towards the proscenium and the house. Then you don't have to be fixated about how large or small someone is, because the larger voice, especially the younger ones, should be a little bit heavier because they sing on the fat, the cream.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got everybody literally anorexic, and you wonder why you only hear them for 5 years, or why they sound slightly more reedy than they should, because they can't rely on any real appoggio. The breath, yes. The sound itself, yes. But I find the folks who have just a little bit more weight, not as much as me, you should not do that. Don't ever fall into that trouble. But as long as you're able to move around comfortably and you can bend down and get up without being assisted, you're in good shape. And you can sing beautifully, because if you're singing 3 times a week, what are you going to
do? Yeah, exactly. Oh, cream and harmony, the sound of harmony. You just colored my entire way I think about sound, harmonies, and yeah. It's different. Maybe I just gotta listen. We're in COVID, so
What is this?
We're in COVID. We're not singing every day, but when you talk about the harmonies in sound, when and the coloring of it, I forgot for a minute. I forgot, but when you
you don't color a voice, because then that's adding something to it.
Right.
What you allow it is that in its truest evolution, when it evolves out of your mouth, it has undertones and overtones that are really seductive. And it's very individual to each singer. It's like a snowflake. It's its own perfect imprint. Most of the singers taught today, I would not say most, let me just, because it's in such generalization here.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the folks that I'm hearing do not flesh out the gorgeousness of their instruments as much as they can. There is a harmony that should be evolving out of your mouth, and it should be round and beautiful. Even if it's dramatic, it still has to be round and beautiful, and it should be equal. And there shouldn't be stuff that bats you in the eye because it's a high note. So what? It's a high note. Instead, you get your all geared up for the high note, then you smack it in the eye, and it's like, no, that's part of all the other little people that were coming up on that phrase. Don't do that. So it's interesting, and it's all very individual. I just like firm singing. I'll take a Flagstad over anybody.
Any day. I'm going to mention something a little controversial.
Uh-oh.
Can we? I know. Can we talk about, now you were always one of the most, I think you are one of the greatest Aidas ever.
Oh, God. Okay.
Vocal, hands down.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I loved singing her.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's a gorgeous, feminine, hard. I've sung Aida a couple of times, and I'm like, God, I can never stop thinking about, I never could take my mind and relax until the last B flat in Oteradio, which is the end of the night. Right? But I want to talk about the idea of painting, because as many of us, you were our Aida in our, in my generation.
I appreciate that. That makes me feel very good.
You are.
But here it is. If we're going to get into this, then I have to say I operate from a disadvantage because I'm not Black. So here, Verdi, also not Black. But he said, I'm so in love with this Ethiopian princess. I want to add something that is gorgeous for the Egyptian house in Cairo. So Cairo is so close to the African coast. So he thought, I'm going to allow that exotic part of that to come into my operas. Now, he's a white guy. He's a white Italian man with a great imagination. So she falls in love with an Egyptian who is also slightly brown. Okay? So you look at Ethiopia, you're going to find the darkest of the dark. Like a pearl in an Ethiop's ear is Desdemona, right? Mm-hmm. So you look at it and you say, okay, I am at a disadvantage. I am not Black, but Verdi's invited me the privilege to be an Ethiopian princess. Am I going to follow the idea that Black must be invisible? No. So what do? I have to put on a makeup. Now, I understand as we go closer into our period right now, people are saying it's blackface. Why it's this face. And I thought, oh, I was horrified because I thought, oh my God, have I done something racist? Have I done? I said, I really loved being black. I really loved it. And then someone said to me once, we thought you were, but you can take that makeup off, you see. And I can't. I will always be under the pressure of, and the stigma or whatever they wanted to call. And I said, well, you have to look into the heart of the person who's doing it and also the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
The horrid thing that was done after the Jim Crow period and even before was to color your face in what they call a minstrel show. That was disrespectful because it was meant to demean, to demoralize, to characterize, to caricaturize, make a caricature. Why, it's lazy, it's shiftful, it's this, it's. And I'm thinking, I didn't do that. I wore nothing but gorgeous. The face, it was mine, and I'm black, but I was not doing it as a minstrel show. I never made a joke about being black. I didn't do it to demean. I was dressed as Verdi's princess, which was to exalt. So that's the only thing I can use as an explanation. Very aware of what that means now. If I did Aida ever again, I would make her lighter skinned, closer to mine. But again, I think it makes you invisible. If you were to play an Ethiopian, it plays into their plot to have the black community invisible if I'm not. If I'm not playing the Ethiopian princess, fine, I'm the whitest woman in Christendom right now. Okay? But if I'm going to play an Ethiopian princess, then I'm going to play the honor of that. I carried her all over the world. Or let's put it this way, she carried me.
Mm.
And I went on wings of song on her beautiful melody with that wonderful story to tell. It's an Ethiopian princess, but it was every woman. So yes, when I put on the makeup, it was stage makeup. When I played Liu, they made my eyes slightly more orientale than they would do in my normal way, although you could barely see my eyes anyway. So here, they made it more Japanese or more Chinese. I wasn't being disrespectful to the Chinese community, but we have to be very careful. And I say this with great affection for everyone and total understanding. If we go down that route where you cannot do Otello without a black voice singing it, Aida with a black voice singing it, then what are we doing? We cannot sing Turando without a Chinese woman singing Turando. We cannot sing Liu without Chinese. We can't do Butterfly without it being Japanese. We're caught. Instead, music is a universal language that joins us all. And our privilege of being in the cloak of that music is to say, I'm going to try and be as believable as I can. I am not better, I'm not less, but I must show the Ethiopian princess. What am I supposed to do? I must show Liu. She's a little person,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It was never done with a sense of blackface, although I do understand that they would be very sensitive, but I think they're conflating the two. You're finding an anger over people not being given a chance to sing because they are black. And they're conflating it with people wearing blackface. That's not going to take a job away from them, but that's how they're seeing it. So in that, I would give total respect and understanding and then do everything I can to try and make sure that there are more people of color singing in the world of opera, whatever I can do. I wish I ran a house. But it was never meant to be caricature or minstrel show for me. I understand why they might feel that way, but we never did anything that was disrespectful, ever. I wouldn't have allowed it. I was so happy to be black.
I think you and Anna Netrebko both.
Anna likes to get very dark as well, and she doesn't even listen to the story, as far as I know. She doesn't. She won't entertain it because she doesn't have a racist bone. Neither do I. But we do have to be very respectful of a current tone in opera that is not respectful enough. So until it is, we have to be very aware of that. But for me, I didn't want her invisible. If it says Ethiopia, then that's nothing to be upset about.
At all. Thank you, Aprile. I appreciate it. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your expression. Thank you for addressing that because, oftentimes a lot of the singers who have issue with the blackface, and a lot of them are starting at the beginning of the career, and when they see how dark you were as Aida, I mean, listen to us, we were like, she's the most gorgeous,
I do appreciate it, but I mean, they weren't alive to see that Martina and Leontine, in singing some of the roles where they could not then say, okay, this is a Spanish lady, she could have a nice tan. They had to make their faces much more lighter in order to play into the fact that they were playing someone that was white.
Yes.
But we never saw that as being disrespectful. Well, I wanted to hear Leontine sing whatever she wanted to sing. I wanted to see Martina sing whatever she wanted to sing. Kathleen sing whatever she wanted to sing. It was never meant to be disrespectful, ever. But, today we have to be very aware that things are really out of whack. And until it's righted somewhat, I think there will be a sensitivity, and we all have to be very aware of it and respectful to it.
Absolutely. And I think that some white sopranos are conflicted about singing the role of Aida, because they feel like if they get painted or tanned, it's going to put them in the line of fire, and I have expressed to some of my friends who sing Aida who are not Black, I said, you must let paint you. You need to look down at that skin and look at everyone else and understand the character. It's a part of it, and I do not shy away from people being painted, but I say, if you take the color out, then I tell Black sopranos, like, if you don't let them paint, that doesn't mean that you're going to get a job.
Well, here's my question. What if a white singer wants to sing Porgy and Bess? We never see that, do we? We never see that the actual Porgy and Bess is always cast with Black singers. So why is that? And they have a right then to say, well, Aida is Black. Why don't they cast her with a Black singer? I mean, I do understand where they come with all of this, but it makes it very hard, because here's a banquet of music that is the story of a Black Ethiopian princess in the genius of Verdi. I would have been very upset if I hadn't been allowed to at least borrow the beauty for a while and be Black for a little while. I mean, people literally came up and they went, "You're white? We thought you were Black." Literally, they thought that I was Black, and I said, "Well, come on now."
Yeah.
I want it to be. I think that's gorgeous. And it is. It's beautiful. I've always felt that it's beautiful. I always did it with a great deal of respect, but I understand if they don't.
Absolutely. And Porgy is Porgy's a whole other conversation. It's a whole different, I think, ball game. But,
oh, it's gorgeous too. There's another gorgeous piece.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are some of the I mean, you've sung everything. Andrea Chenye, Adriana Lecouvreur, Aida, both of the Leonoras, I mean, just,
wow.
what are everything? What are some of the things that you would have liked Tosca, would have liked to have sung more, or you feel like I wish I would have sung that role and you didn't get to it?
I would have to say more bel canto.
Mm-hmm.
In some of the wonderful work that I've done with the young singers at the Vetere Studio and then Opera Vision Academy, when they start doing these Puritani, I worked today with a young lady, Emily Casey, spectacular. Catherine Wethington, these voices that just, boom, they just want to go up there and have fun. And I'm going, I do wish I had sung more bel canto, because I liked it. And then I'm still trying to pull my poor little withered behind together enough to sing a norma before I stop. I would love that. I don't know if it'll happen. I'm hoping it does. I'm trying to get myself into a physical and vocal shape to do it, which I think would surprise. And it's actually surprising me. It's sitting quite comfortably. But again, we have to wait until the COVID is over. But you never know. You never know. But that's a great piece of music. I think bel canto I would like to have sung more, and maybe one Wagnerian, the Elsa. I would love to have done.
Oh, yes. What a beautiful role. It'll be yeah. Well, Aprile, I don't want to hold you all night. I could talk to you
No,
forever,
I'm
and
just
I'm
curious. Are there
so
any questions? If there are any questions anybody
yes.
wants to ask.
You guys have questions? Come on with the questions. I'm sure. And the chat was going off, and you can totally you'll see it when we when we
Do I
end.
get to see that? I hope.
Oh,
I
you
hope that
do. Yeah, I
you
will.
see it on Facebook when it goes up. It shows you. Oh, okay, because people have
I'll
been
send you
very
the YouTube.
gracious.
Yeah, and I'll send you the YouTube link too. And yeah, and I always keep them on my page for people to watch. You guys have questions? I know Dave, my friend Dave, he's in the Convos crew. He always had a lot of questions.
If you have
Come
any
on,
that
y'all.
you want to
Y'all
ask real
so
quick,
shy.
because you have to sing tonight, so I want to let you go too.
Yeah, you have to come. Okay. Oh, yes. What is your? Let's see. Let me see. Let me show that. Curious to know where Aprile feels. Oh, the appoggio when she sings. Where do you feel the appoggio?
It's generally a marriage between the emission of the breath. It starts if you look at a child for 17 hours, it can cry. How is that possible? Right? It's always in the position that's correct. Okay, and it's on an air. Because I've never heard of a kid that got laryngitis crying. You kind of, as a mother, sometimes you're going to want to see you be. They don't. So you take an expression of where does that feel? Do it yourself at home. It's right there in the center of your abdomen. And then you do not freeze. Never freeze the abdomen. I've heard so many people say, no, I have to pull it in and hold. I've never in my life heard of that. It's got to be like a baby, in and out, in and out. Rock-a-bye baby and the treetop. It's always just the air revolving, and you feel it generally in your abdomen. You know, as we're talking right now, we take a breath. And we seem to miraculously have enough air for everything we're going to say. Why is that? So we have the same thing when we're singing the phrase. You take a nice breath because you know it's going to be a longer phrase, but you feel your rib cage expand. But it's nothing mechanical, folks. Just do it as easy and normal. That's why the bel canto is so beautiful. It's an easy, normal breathing in. And to learn how to do that even more, just breathe in 5 to 6. Breathe out 7, but no tension, just normal, like an infant. The simpler it gets, the easier it is to sing. And then you're just talking on a longer tone. That's it. I hope that answered it, because I could show you better in other ways, but that's the short story of it.
That's part 2.
Yes.
Yes. What is your favorite role to sing?
The one I'm singing.
Okay.
I
Yes.
love Chenier, and I love Aida without a doubt, but I fell madly in love with Fanciulla del West. There's something about her whole story about that no one is without a path to redemption. And I think that's so important for everybody to realize, for all of us.
Yes, Minnie is one of the great roles, the great
And she's
characters.
something.
She is something. Okay. Of all the great tenors, particularly prior to 1970, who would you most like to sing with?
Prior to 1970, see, I didn't. Oh, so you're asking who I would have liked to have sung with tenors prior to
Most
1970.
like to sing with, yes.
Gigli, without a
Gigi.
question. Gigli, Caruso, without a doubt.
Mhm.
Corelli, I would love to. I did actually sing a duet with him in his apartment when I went to sing for Loretta Corelli. And he came in and wondered, what's going on, because she had said, you don't need anybody, just get out there and sing. I thought either she's not interested or maybe she's telling me something I should know. She said, don't let too many people fuss with you. He came in, and then we did a little tiny bit of Cavalleria Rusticana together, and then the Forza. Facciamo corni. seafood jam and all of that. Fantastic. And he was in, I mean, he parted your hair back. And a handsome, handsome man, very shy, wonderful man. But Corelli, and I think really the one I would love to have joined harmonies with, I sang with everybody I really wanted to, except Carreras. He's the one I would love to have. He had such a honey, beautiful quality. I had a chance to sing with Di Stefano, so I saw how that all, how that all kind of mixed. But I would love to Carreras, because it's such a gorgeous instrument. Gigi, Caruso. There's some pretty nice people.
Yeah, exactly. That's all great company, right? Dreams. Omar. Lemmy says, if I cut off a foot.
If you cut off a foot, child, you're not going to be able to sing the Chenier because we're both being trouble in the revolution. I would love to sing a Chenier with you anywhere, any place. We got to do that. If I may call you Lemmy, I do want to do that because you are spectacular.
Oh.
We should do that even now. If you send me your singing of it, I'll put my singing with it. And we'll just put it up, and we'll try and maybe make it as a donation to the Black Lives Movement.
Come on, Lemmy and Milo.
That'd be one way to do it. I mean, it's not as fun as singing together in person. That I would love to do, and perhaps God will be merciful and kind, and we will do that somewhere. You absolutely have the voice for Chenier, and it is beautiful. I would love to mix my colors with yours. I really would.
Oh, Lemmy, and you'll please do not be surprised if Lemmy sends you something, because he will.
Do it. We got to get a really good pianist though, because it's got to sound like an orchestra.
Yes. Leon has a comment.
Oh, thank you, Leon. That's a lovely thing to say. Thank you. Thank you. I think we're all just friends who haven't met yet. So everybody out there, it's been a privilege to spend time with this beautiful diva, with this magnificent, lovely, lovely lady. Alan, what was your favorite performance and least fave? The ones I didn't finish are my least faves, because we've all had evenings where we had to leave early. My favorite performance, there are too many to count, Alan, but I would say the Lombardi in Carnegie Hall, and the Chenier, which was the in front of Zinka. And then the last one was the last performance my mom heard, was the Fanciulla in Carnegie. And she was wearing a little silver outfit, and she didn't want to be conspicuous. I said, Mom, you look like Lohengrin. She had a total silver outfit, and she said, I wanted you to know where I was. And it was the last thing that she heard me sing, because she was maybe 2 or 3 months shy of passing away. And so I wanted to give her, she always wanted to hear me sing Minnie. And you know that the house came down in a way that it sounded like the entire house were my cousins. And they just went nuts. And my mom was sitting with my sister, and she had her wheelchair next to her. But she struggled to get up because she saw everybody was standing and screaming, throwing programs. They were going nuts. She wanted to join in that. And she stood. And, for me, everything went dead. All I saw was my mother standing, because I so wanted to please her. She was one of the great, great artists of all time. And when she stood up to I didn't hear any of the cheering. It all went dead. It was just, Mom, you liked it. So she always wanted me to do it, and I thank her for it for the rest of my life.
Oh, absolutely. What was her name? What was her name, Aprile?
Oh, there's so many. When you're singing, and she did many, many things well, so she didn't want to be an attorney under the same name that she sang with as a performing artist. But Margherita Girosi is what she sang in opera under. And then she had another name, Lydia, which was very good when she was singing more of the German rep when she studied with Jeritza. So it's like we have a tremendous story with my mom. She was like Mame. Never did anything according to the way you should do it, but because she did it that way, it broke all molds, And I will never, ever forget the genius. When she passed away, it became very difficult to want to create, because, that was excellence to me in the world. And with the death of Luciano, with the death of these people that carry an excellence, that's why I treasure all of you that seek to be excellent, because without that, we have no north, we have no compass in the arts. So Truly. Keep trying to be the best, You are kings and queens, princes and princesses on the stage. Do not be afraid. You are gladiators for an art form that deserves it. And I can't wait to hear all of you. If I'm so lucky I get a chance to, I hope so. But I'm praying for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, and we need those prayers.
The
And
art
we are
form, everybody.
gladiators. Yes, and we have a couple more questions. I would hate for people to not get their questions
Sure.
answered. What do you think about countertenors? Yes, Amir.
So many of them have no body or support. The countertenor voice is a castrato, is like a soprano, and the things that you would apply to a soprano voice are what you would have to supply to the countertenor. It's just going to have that bigness that makes you swoon, because if you're putting the fact that a man has those lungs and they're going to be the bigger version, you're going to hear, if you've ever heard Moreschi sing, you'll hear what a true castrato sounds like, the countertenors. It isn't this soft little baroque. There are baroque tenors. There are also countertenors. You have to kind of think along the same lines of a bel cantista. And that's something I would have to talk with you individually and see what it is that works or does not work. But it's easy. The countertenors can flourish again, but they have to get out of thinking too small, because once that voice flips, it wants to stay there. It doesn't leave. A lot of people think they lose it after voice soprano stop. It's not. You just sing more like a soprano with an Adam's apple. It takes some getting around it.
Yes, we had two questions about maestri from Kenny
Yes.
Overton and Kevin Short.
Okay.
They wanted to know who were some of your favorites.
Of course, I will always adore Maestro Levine, because that was a genius that was not generally appreciated enough as it should be. Are we all flawed as people? I'm very flawed. If he's flawed, I don't care. What he brought to music was divine, and he was a great friend to me. He never deserted me, and I really appreciated that. I would say Giuseppe Patané, unbelievable Italian maestro. Another one named Giuseppe Morelli, who used to conduct a lot with the New York City Opera, but was all over Italy. And Nello Santi. I adored Nello Santi. You could do anything with Nello. And I would say the one that I worked with that you all never really got to hear me work with was Von Karajan. And we did get this, I believe it or not, a test recording. He asked me to come and do a test recording after Elizabeth Schwarzkopf got me an audition for him. He wanted me to come and do three arias. He said, we have to submit it. If he's submitting it, we're going to get it. But it was with the Berlin Philharmonic. And then we did, before I left, he was at the Festspielhaus in Salzburg. We did the pianissimo version of the Mild und leise and I said, you can't ask an Italian girl to sing this. I'm going to be terrible in the German. But he said, no, I want you to do it all piano, because at that time I had the piano that was just wonderful. Wait, I have to try and get that tape from somebody has that. And Rudy Ballmer and Rita Dixon set it up for me, and I have to see if I can find it. They then did it later with Jesse, who did also the same thing about nothing but just piano. Mm-hmm. So it was really, really interesting. But I would say Von Karajan, Patané, Levine, so many other wonderful maestri, really. I mean, one of them that is very unusual is Eugene Cohn, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. He's crazy as a March hare, but he has music in his body, and it's not... He got an excitement with an orchestra and with what we could do together. We fight like cats and dogs, but he's a great maestro. What he doesn't know about music, we have yet to learn. He's absolutely brilliant. Crazy man. Crazy, but I love him. Great guy.
Sometimes they genius and crazy, There you go.
A good crazy. He's good crazy. If you can't sing it, he will.
Oh, Lisette has a question. Hey, Lisette.
Lisette. How are you, baby? How do you feel about the anonymous teachers online who harp... What? Who harp on how low versus high larynx? Do you think about your larynx when you sing? No. No, it has nothing to do with the female voice whatsoever.
Mm.
And people who want you to artificially lower your larynx, you should probably open the door and aerate, throw them out of the house as fast as you can. There is nothing to do with the larynx on a female voice. That is mostly, I think, for the bass and for some baritones that have high Adam's apple. For me, I don't think about the larynx at all. I thought about emission. The placement, once you have it correct, is already there. You don't have to think about it. Otherwise, you're a centipede, and which leg do you move first? You can't do it. If one little leg goes up and then nobody can move. You just do things naturally, as childlike as you can. Larynx, I don't know, Lisette. I don't know, baby. I've never heard, I don't like that. I've heard a lot of people go, you have to inhale and you have to do a yawn and it lowers and I'm like, what? What are you doing? Then you're going to be singing and you're bringing your horn of your gramophone all the way in the back of your throat. And then what? There's all that cavity, but you're not going to get a true tone. Mm-mm. Because here you have to keep it in your mouth, doing regular position of the vocal, of the vowel mold, so to speak, and like my friend Nadine told me about. You have this marvelous sense of it has to be here in order to get to your houses of where you're going to sing. Are you going to employ more chest? Are you going to employ the head? The men have to think about getting up here. And then here is where you basically live your entire life anyway. Mm-hmm. If you're middle voice, not a lot of people have middle voice. If your middle voice is fine, your top and your bottom are just don't even think about it. And it has to be even, and it should not be with too much vibrato. No one is saying to kill a vibrato, but I think the people who have the problem of too much vibrato understand what I'm talking about. It's just singing a little bit firmer without quite so much nerves in the sound. It's a regular. If you hit the side of a bowl in a tempo, it should not be faster than that. Some of them are. It's out of whack. And that is individual and has to be addressed with caution. But the voices that move from note to note that are not equal, that drives me nuts. It's like the A becomes different than the ah. I mean, there's a recording on YouTube where the great baritone Denise is talking to another baritone, and they're spending 17 hours literally. Did the A come into the ah correctly? Did you hear a change? No, you did not. Look at what the old school used to go through, where it was all just equal emission. And then, of course, you have your accents, and you have your crescendi, and you have your Luftpauses and things like that. There's a lot that can inform your expression. But it's a very interesting question, Lisette. You don't have that problem. You have no problem whatsoever. She's singing them up good everywhere.
Yeah, she's a dynamo. She's the queen.
Yeah, she's also a splendid lady, splendid, beautiful lady. Yes. Brava.
Very down to earth. I love Lisette. Question: which of your recordings in Opera Lida, etc., are you most proud of?
I have so few recordings. I think I would have been prouder if I'd had just a tiny bit more, because I would love to have recorded a Chenier. I would like to have recorded formally some of that. But I would say it's an interesting question. I love the name Happy Day. What do I call you? Happy?
Gary is his real name, I guess.
What is it? What is
Gary
it?
Is his name. He said Gary. Gary is his name.
Gary. That's a beautiful name, Gary. I would say whatever I sang authentically, whatever I sang with real spirit. Mm-hmm. That's what I was proud of, because sometimes you can let your head get messed up, and you can sing with fear sometimes, or you can sing worried about what somebody's going to say. Mm-hmm. Whenever I got out of my way and I let go and I let God, there it is. That's what I'm proud about. I know it sounds a little preachy, but I always searched for the authentic. And if I could continue to get out of my own way enough to give it, then I was proud of it. Because every piece of music that came out of me has colored my soul, has splashed color on my canvas. And it makes me want to cry when I think of how beautiful a profession we're in, that kind of beauty can wash over our souls as it's heading out to touch yours. What kind of a fantastic thing is that? I mean, who could complain? Very, very grateful for God's abundance.
Absolutely. So it's such a blessing, really is. And are we going to be able to hear you in New York again soon?
Well, there's lots of things cooking before COVID. There were some lovely, lovely announcements coming up. I'm hoping it can be rekindled because a lot of people have lost a lot of money. And there were some spectacular things in the works, which I would love to share with all of you before I call it quits. I would really, really love to do that. So say a prayer for me that that it does continue that way, and that I can make the announcements, and I'll come back on here and I'll make it here.
Yes, ma'am. I love that.
Now, what's coming, Kiki? What's coming for you aside from tonight? Now, you're recording with the wonderful Larry Brownlee. You're doing
Yes.
something for his show. What's next for you?
Well, next for me, let's see. I have a virtual project called Say Their Names. It is dedicated to
Brianna Taylor.
Yes, women of the movement. So women, Ida B. Wells, Fannie Lou Hamer, Sojourner Truth, Kimberly Crenshaw.
When is this?
It premieres on Saturday night at 7:30 on the Larynx.
This Saturday?
Yes, this Saturday. I'll put it up on my. I'll send you the link.
Please send a link. Yes, please.
Send you the link. And so
is it opera or is it a mix of different medium?
It's song. So there's no opera in it, but they're all like songs by female African American composers or
oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a piece that I curated with the Lyric Fest in Philadelphia, and Laura Ward, who's a wonderful. She plays for Denise all the time. Denise Graves all the time.
I love her. Denise is a grand girl.
Yes, we love Denise, and so I curated that. So that premieres on Saturday, and then I am doing a couple of a virtual project for Minnesota Opera. And
good.
Yeah, and then
but now, what's the next big role are you doing that you want to do?
Oh. Well, it was a Verdi Requiem that just got canceled. I was supposed to do.
Oh, that would be beautiful for you.
Yeah, but a new role. Well, it was one role that I would love to visit. I'd love to visit Desdemona again. I would love to do that.
That honey, beautiful color.
It's been a long time. I would love to sing Ariadne. And I would love to sing Amelia Unumbalo. That's a dream role for me.
Amelia.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I was supposed to do Trovatore this year, but it got canceled. And I don't think they're going to
Trovatore, I would really love to hear. Trovatore would be spectacular in your sound.
Yes. Now that is where I feel more comfortable, even more than Aida. I feel Trovatore is right.
Yes, because you're a higher voice that likes to move. And you bring a lot of burgundy, gorgeous chocolate color. Okay, so you can't do stuff that you can, of course. But for me, I would love to hear Trovatore. Trovatore for you is like a glove.
Yes, it really is. And I've only sung it three times.
I'd like to hear you sing Beethoven's A Perfido.
Yes, I will do that.
I would love to hear that. That's a fantastic piece with orchestra. Yes. It's a great little sumptuous piece in the middle of an evening. You start off with an aria, then you do the Beethoven, then you finish with something you really just love to crash, bam, boom. But I would love to hear you sing the A Perfido. That's a gorgeous piece for you.
It is. And I'm going to come coach it with you. So
I don't think you need any coaching. I think you'd be just fine. But with pleasure, I would love to sit there and share some music with you. It'd be so much fun.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. I'm so appreciative for your kindness, for your honesty and generosity coming to speak to us today.
It's my pleasure.
You have given us so much over the years, and I know you will continue to give to us.
I hope so.
Through your art, but more importantly, through your advocacy, through your teaching. You know, we need you to hand down all of those gems and all of those.
Passing the beautiful forward is what I call it. Passing the beautiful forward.
Please stay connected.
I hope to, sweetheart. But let's just say a prayer right now. Let's just all of us, because I think this is a remarkable little group, okay? Let's pray for everyone who has lost someone to this dread virus, that they are strong and that they are comforted in some way, and that in some wild little random way, they listen to something that we do that maybe gives them happiness or a feeling of hope. And the other thing is that we all stay ready, stay hungry, Stay committed, because a life in service to music is the greatest life you can have. And I'm praying for each and every one of you tonight to have that feeling, that rush, that joy of singing and fulfilling your instrument. In the meanwhile, understand you're one of the archangels. Take yourself very seriously. Humbly, get out there, hone your instrument, live every life you can, get the Rosetta Stone, learn how to speak those languages, get rid of the EPAs or the API or whatever that dictionary is. Learn how to speak the language of these other little people, because they're your friends too. And know that in me, you have a fellow warrior, you have a fellow friend, and you have a fellow journey. I'm walking on the same journey all of you are, but let's link hands, head on out, and we'll serve music together, and it will give a foundation that no one can destroy. Amen.
Amen. And on that note, stay on Aprile. But on that note, good night. God bless you all. And I might see you next week. I might see it the week after that. My life is so crazy right now. But anyway, God bless you
Good.
all. Thank you for coming again.
My
I'm not gonna
pleasure. God
cry.
bless everybody. God
But
bless
good night.
everybody.
God bless. And share this. You guys know the deal. Share this share this conversation. Okay. Love you all. See you
Stay
soon.
safe. Stay safe.
Stay safe.